The radio made crackling sounds that felt warm and cozy, like sunshine coming through dark clouds. My tiny 5-watt signal, which is like a whisper in a huge empty space, was doing something amazing. It was bouncing off a special layer in the sky somewhere over the big Pacific Ocean, dancing around the world, and landing in a peaceful garden in Osaka, Japan. I was having a great chat with Hiroshi, whose radio name was J3MXD. He used to be a plant scientist, and his voice sounded calm. It's like someone who had spent many years helping stubborn plants grow. He was telling me about the careful art of shaping a 300-year-old tiny pine tree called a bonsai. His words sounded like a gentle hum in my headphones. Yes. I told him stories about my hopeless try at growing just one good tomato in the rocky dirt of my backyard in Virginia. For those quick minutes, the 6,000 miles between us seemed to disappear. The world felt small and connected by our voices. "Be patient, Daniel," Hiroshi said with a crackly laugh that sounded like wind. "You need to listen to what the plant wants, not force it to do what you want." I smiled, thinking his smart words could help with way more than just gardening. My Akeem 7300 radio glowed and lit up my small office, my special hideaway place. "It's not that I don't have patience, Hiroshi." I laughed. "It's those darn slugs. It's big, hungry American slugs." His laughter cut through the static noise, and everything felt perfect and peaceful. Then I saw her through my second-floor window looking over my small yard in the Circle Street beyond. There stood Margaret Walsh. She was standing perfectly, still on the public sidewalk, hands on her hips, head tilted back, staring angrily at my 40-foot ham radio antenna like it had personally hurt her feelings. In her hand, held tight like a war flag, was a thick 3-inch white plastic folder holding the holy rules of the Cedar Grove Homeowners Association, where Margaret ruled as the newly chosen president. Fear rushed through me, breaking the calm feeling. Of my chat with Hiroshi, "Hiroshi, buddy," I said, leaning into the microphone, "I've got local trouble coming. Gotta say goodbye." "I understand, Daniel," he replied. "Watch out for the slugs. JA3MXD signing off." "K4DT signing off," I said, turning off my radio. Margaret wrote something on a clipboard that appeared out of nowhere, then marched away with her flat shoes clicking with angry purpose. I had no clue she wasn't just writing notes. She was starting a war. In my antenna, my connection to the world was what she wanted to destroy. And I, not knowing any better, thought it would just be a small fight with paperwork. It was so wrong. The fight started 3 weeks earlier, not with loud yelling, but with a shiny card slipped under my door. It said a friendly reminder about neighborhood rules. It had cartoon pictures of a happy family smiling in front of a house that looked scary similar to mine, except without the tall metal pole. I used it to put my coffee cup on and forgot about it. A week later, an official angry letter came in a scary envelope. The accusation, written in big angry letters, was breaking Rule 22.7. Part B, no outside buildings, flagpoles, dishes, or other things could be taller than the roofline. My antenna went 20 feet above that limit on purpose. Thinking Margaret was a reasonable person. I wrote a polite letter back explaining it was a ham radio antenna protected by FCC rules for over-the-ear devices. I explained my important job in the amateur radio emergency service called ARES. My station was a critical connection point for disaster communications. My antenna wasn't ugly, it was helping the public. I sent the email, imagining Margaret laughing at her mistake and giving up. Her answer was one short paragraph. "Dear Mr. Thompson, while we appreciate your hobby, Cedar Grove's beautiful look is important to property values. Your appeal is rejected. See attached $50 fine. Payment due in 15 days. Sincerely, Margaret." Walsh, HOA president. The word hobby was in quotation marks. The fine was printed professionally. This wasn't a misunderstanding, it was a challenge. To prove I could work with her, spent my savings on a dream project, a 10x12 soundproof radio shack in my backyard. It was a peace offering, keeping my hobby in a neat little building. I hired Tom and Carl from Cornerstone Builders. Big man who always looked confused, looked over my plans. Concrete floor, 220-volt electrical line, sound blocking panels. "This is nicer than my old house," he said. "What's it for?" "Ham radio," I said casually. "I talk to people around the world or help in emergencies when phones don't work." Carl, the quiet guy, grunted and pointed at the antenna. "That thing legal?" I sighed. That's about to become the story of my life. The next evening after Tom and Carl left, a note was taped to my door, unfolded dramatically. In bold Times New Roman letters, Margaret wrote, "Mr. Thompson, God. 'Cause you didn't follow the rules? The unauthorized device will be removed by an HOA worker. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. to bring back our beautiful neighborhood. Fighting us will be written down. Have a nice day." I laughed, a deep, unbelieving laugh. She wouldn't dare. This was my private property, not her personal kingdom. I crumpled the note, threw it in recycling, and chatted with a guy in Spain about olive oil. I was completely wrong. At 10 a.m., I was on a soul-crushing Zoom call for my computer job, mumbling about making work better, when movement in the yard caught my eye. Margaret stood on my lawn like a war general, nodding as a skinny man in a Yard Boss t-shirt held huge 3-foot bolt cutters. My coffee mug smashed on the floor. "No," I yelled, running downstairs, fumbling with the back door. "Luck, Margaret, what the heck?" I burst onto the patio as the man cut the first support wire. The sound was like a gunshot in the quiet morning. The wire whipped through the air. Snip. The second wire fell. My DX commander, my bridge to the world, groaned, wobbled, then crashed. Onto my prize flower garden, exploding like confetti. The antenna's tip destroyed a goofy plastic pelican my cousin gave me. I stood shaking with anger so strong it felt sacred. Margaret didn't even look at me. She checked her clipboard. "Good morning, Daniel," she said in an icy voice. "The fix is happening on schedule. Also, the pelican broke lawn decoration rules. Part G, 2 problems solved at once." "You're crazy," I yelled. "Our legal team confirms our rights according to the agreements you signed," she said. As we shouted back and forth, a siren wailed. "See? I called them. It's for you, vandalism and destruction." But the siren multiplied into many sirens, getting louder. Not one police car, but a whole parade roared into our circle street. 3 black SUVs with dark windows and flashing lights, followed by a white communications van covered with antennas. Doors flew open, and agents in tactical gear with FEMA and DRT patches jumped out, moving with scary precision, carrying cases and cables. They weren't here for a regular 911 call. They were setting up camp. A square-jawed agent with eyes like steel walked to the antenna's wreckage, looking at the cut wires.
Ow.
My neighbor Joe stared from his porch. Across the street, Mrs. Larson's curtains twitched. My anger turned into confusion.
Ouch.
Margaret's smug look faded, her clipboard hanging limp. The agent walked up to me. "Are you Kilo for Delta Tango?" I nodded weakly. "Daniel Thompson." "Agent Garrett, FEMA Communications Task Force. Your connection went dark, crashing District 5's Aries network. No communications east of here." "What's the emergency? Earthquake?" Imp stared, then at the bolt cutters, then at Margaret, who looked like she wanted to disappear. "The emergency," I whispered, "is 5 feet 5 inches tall, has a clipboard, and hates my antenna." Garrett's look followed mine. He didn't understand. "Ma'am, did you see what happened?" Margaret stuttered. What happened?" Garrett thought she was in shock, turning back to me. "We're setting up a command post here. Police car finally arrived. 2 officers got out, looking confused. The older one, Officer Hayes, walked over. Dispatch said vandalism." His eyes looked at the FEMA vans, SUVs, and wrecked antenna. "You left out a few details." Margaret screamed. "This man had an illegal structure. I removed it according to HOA rules, and now these people are trespassing." Garrett towered over her. "Officers, this is a federal incident seen under FEMA. Control, who's in charge?" Hayes sighed, taking off his sunglasses. "That's the million-dollar question." Then Tom and Carl's F-150 truck rolled up. They froze, taking in the chaos. Tom, holding a tape measure, called out, "Daniel, a bad time to talk about the concrete." Carl grunted, "Trouble." I looked at the scene, a cop expecting a broken pelican, a federal agent thinking the world was ending, an HOA dictator facing real authority. and contractors just wanting to pour concrete. Tom, I said, a crazy calm feeling coming over me. You won't believe this. The next hour was crazy paperwork madness. FEMA turned my lawn into a command center. Cables everywhere, laptops humming. Agent barked code words. Echo Charlie is down. No handshake with Overwatch. Garrett questioned me. Your Aries connection was cut by her. He pointed at Margaret, now with the younger cop, Officer Ruiz. She hired a guy from Yard Boss with bolt cutters, I said. Yard Boss, Garrett repeated with no expression. Hayes took my statement while keeping Margaret away. She said the Pelican wasn't approved, I explained. Hayes sighed. A Pelican? Margaret shoved her binder at him. This is a neighborhood matter. Hayes waved her off. Ma'am, that guy thinks a nuclear bomb went off. Your binder is not important right now. Tom and Carl watched amazed. So, Tom said, she cut your antenna. A critical relay station, untouchable by any HOA. Margaret quit, sold her house, and ran away to a lawnless condo. I sipped a beer, turned on the radio, and heard a nervous voice. K4DT. This is K9ECB, Ed Walsh, Margaret's husband. Things are quiet, he whispered. Margaret's got a new hobby, community service, sorting emergency supplies. She asked hypothetically about a starter antenna, one that's legal. I leaned back, grinning at my glowing shack. Ed, tell her I've got ideas. Let's talk.